And world leaders paying their final respects to Madeleine Albright, the country's first ever female Secretary of State, passing away due to cancer last month at the age of 84. Our Joe Khalil speaking exclusively with members of her security detail who are serving as pallbearers today. Joe?
And at the funeral today, Adrian, you're going to hear from President Biden, President Clinton, but the perspective that we're about to give you here, you're going to see only on News Nation, and that is of those whose job it was every day to protect Madeleine Albright. So not only did they get a front row seat to history, but they also got to know the icon on such a personal level that very few people ever got to see. She came to love them as children, and as you're about to see, even in death, she's going to honor them today. It's typically family that carries the remains of a loved one last time at a funeral. And in the case of the late former Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright,
she said, "I've made the decision to welcome you into my family."
Treated as like one of her own.
And it was the closest thing to immediate family of someone that I've ever had the pleasure of working with.
This group that processed her through the National Cathedral one final time, their family too, even if not by blood.
I had worked other dignitaries, and often many of them would look right through you because you were security. Very few treated us like she treated us.
These 6 men are all former diplomatic service agents, all assigned to the security detail of Ambassador and Secretary of State Albright. Her former protectors, whom she chose specifically before she died to be her pallbearers at her funeral.
Genuine in terms of the interactions she would have with all of us, and spending a lot of time with her.
We all were there in the room when she went toe-to-toe with dictators and tyrants and despots. She would leave that room and she would turn to the agents and say, "Oh, Joe, isn't it your birthday today?"
The world came to know Albright as the first woman to serve as Secretary of State, a pioneer, a Czechoslovakian refugee turned America's top diplomat, known for being smart and tough on the world stage. Whether it was mass graves in Kosovo or peace talks in the West Bank, always insisting on fulfilling her duty to her country, even when security deemed it unsafe. Like the time she insisted on walking through a crowded protest in Miami, and when the agents told her no the first time.
"George, I'm going to walk from this goalpost to the other goalpost." "Yes, ma'am." Eventually, they learned in most cases they couldn't tell her no.
I have made no secret of my views and will continue to speak out against injustice and brutality.
But to those whose job it was to protect her, she developed a closeness they describe as almost motherly.
How'd your day go? How'd you do today? Is everything okay? Did you get fed? She cared. She really cared.
My daughter's claim to fame in the 4th grade was she sold the Secretary of State Girl Scout cookies. Our admiration for her raised our game.
When Albright passed last month, the world said goodbye to a glass ceiling shattering icon. For this group, it was deeper. They lost someone they truly loved. What was it like when you heard that she had requested you all to be pallbearers?
It's truly an honor. Truly is an honor.
I could have been halfway around the world. I would have came back for that, to do that.
As the nation bids farewell to one of its finest, for these men,
I think all of us, she saw all of us as part of her family.
one final goodbye, one final call to service. Secretary Albright's service begins at 11 a.m. today. You're going to see those men we just interviewed, along with a few others from her protective detail, escort her into the National Cathedral and then back out. And as far as we know, Adrian, this is the first time that anybody of her stature has chosen their protective service agents to do the job of being their pallbearer.
Joe, this is my favorite story that you have ever delivered here on News Nation. I don't even get emotional on TV very often, but I could cry how beautifully done that was. And it's so nice to see the personal touch of a life well lived and the people affected by it. Thank you so much.
It was really touching just to do the interview, and the challenge with some assignments like this is we talked to them for, almost an hour, those 6 guys, to boil it down and really get the emotion that they felt and the genuine love they felt for her. It was just really incredible. I was excited just to have that opportunity to tell their story today.
Yes, excellent work, Joe. Really, I'm going to try to pull myself together so I can finish this newscast. Thank you so much. May we all live a life where people admire us like that.